The origin of the term baker's dozen? There's a hot question at the moment about the use of the apostrophe in the phrase baker's dozen, and it got me to wondering, where did this phrase originate? Did bakers really offer 13 in a dozen? Is it a joke about bakers being bad at maths? If bakers did offer 13 in a dozen, then why did they start doing it?
Have you checked Wikipedia? The oldest known source, but questionable explanation for the expression baker's dozen dates to the 13th century. Bakers who were found to have short-changed customers, some variations say that they would sell hollow bread, could be subject to severe punishment. To guard against the punishment of losing a hand to an axe, a baker would give 13 for the price of 12, to be certain of not being known as a cheat.
As a Brewer's Dictionary of Phrase and Fable explains, in earlier times when a heavy penalty was inflicted for short weight, bakers used to give a surplus number of loaves, called the inbread, to avoid all risk of incurring a fine. The 13th was the vantage loaf.
On Oxford Dictionary we can read, baker's dozen, a group of 13, equals one more than a dozen, which is 12, origin. Late 16th century, from the former baker's custom of adding an extra loaf to a dozen sold, this constituting the retailer's profit. More historical reasons are illustrated on Wikipedia with regard to Worshipful Company of Bakers. The Worshipful Company of Bakers is one of the livery companies of the City of London. The Bakers' Guild is known to have existed in the 12th century. From the Corporation of London, the Guild received the power to enforce regulations for baking, known as the Assize of Bread and Ale. The violations included selling short-weight bread and the addition of sand instead of flour. So that they could avoid punishment for inadvertently selling a short-weight bread, bakers added a 13th loaf to a dozen, giving rise to the term baker's dozen. The bread assize remained in force until 1863, when Parliament repealed it.
I was always told this was the baker cooks 13 to 12 for the customer and 1 for himself. That way, if the batch came out bad, he can easily find out and pitch it before it gets to the customer.
I understand this differently. From what I was taught, the baker's dozen resulted from compassion. The extra item was added by the baker so the household slave/servant would be able to consume one of whatever was being purchased, while walking home with a bag full of food for their master/employer.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.